going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one for sure. But today we are talking about growing our personal brand. And the reason why I am so passionate about this. Now, as I'm talking, I'm going to share my entire story, and then I'm going to share some ways that you can really set yourself a stand out in the marketplace. And then I'm going to share with y'all some ways to monetize that, and to how growing your brand can help you monetize and make more money, which is the goal. We are businesses. So hi Donna, how are you doing? So the reason why I feel like this is so important is the question that I get asked all the time is, people say to me, Carianne, is there room in this space for one more, and then fill the blank? Is there room for one more DIY blog? Is there room for one more recipe blog? Is there one more room for one more home decor blog? And the answer is really found within you, because yes, the answer is yes. And the reason why the answer is yes is because the story that you have to tell, and your perspective on things, and your talent set and your skill set, all of those are things that you have in that combination that no one else in the whole world has exactly your combination. And so, yes, there is room for one more DIY blog, one more home decor blog, but the key element is you have to recognize what makes you special, what makes you unique, what you bring to the table, and then you have to embrace that. And so, um, I think it's so. I wanted to kind of start with this. So when we talk about SEO, how important SEO is, and I can remember a while back, well, this was actually several years ago, I was in a private Facebook group, and it was a private Facebook group for bloggers. And I happened to be the topic of discussion in the Facebook group. And I had I guess they didn't know I was in there. I don't know. And it wasn't negative, but what they said was, Thistlewood doesn't SEO anything. She doesn't SEO. She just kind of talks about whatever she wants to talk about. And people show up to hear her talk. And why is that? Why does she not SEO? Why is she not doing this? And they had a full discussion on me, and they put my blog numbers. I guess they found them from some location, and they put my blog numbers on there and shared my blog numbers, and like, look at how big her blog is and how much it's growing. And like, but she's not SEOing. And hi, Christy Little. And hi, Michelle. And hi, Kim. Hi, Liberty. Hi, Tammy. Oh, a bunch of people hopped on. Hi, Juliet. And so it was very interesting, because that I was the topic, and they were confused as to why I wasn't SEO. Now, I made a big mistake. We've discussed this a lot on here, how important SEO is. And next year we're doing a deep dive into SEO in January, and we are doing a deep dive into Google Web Stories and all the fun things in January. But the reason why SEO was not as important to growing my brand is because from the very first blog post I wrote my heart. I wrote what makes me unique. I wrote things that attracted me. I wrote the type of blog that I want to read. And so when you take that and then you come along, which I did later, and add SEO to it, it is a powerful combination. But y'all, I want you to hear this. When they were putting those numbers in that Facebook group and they were sharing my blog, I was not SEOing. And so really my goal and my purpose and my hope for y'all today is to encourage you and to help you understand that sometimes we get so caught up. And I'm not here to diminish SEO, and I believe in it 100%, and writing everything correctly. It's a very powerful thing to do that. But what is more powerful is to embrace your brand and to embrace you. And we get so caught up in all of the like check boxes. Did we get all the green checks? Did we get all the green lights? Did we do this? That we lose who we are. So before we do a deep dive next month into SEO, this month, I wanted to talk about growing your brand and why growing your brand is and embracing who you are is probably the most powerful thing that you can do for your business. Now, if y'all are just joining us and you have any questions, ask them in the chat box and I will make sure that we get everything answered, because I just feel like this is a very important topic, especially at the close of the year. I think it's very important as we're facing 2022 and we are making our goals and our lists and our plans for 2022. Can y'all believe? I can't even believe I'm saying that, 2022. But I just think it's very important to, just recognize the power that is within us that sometimes we are not tapping into. So I want to start the discussion on your brand. And I want you to be thinking of this question as I'm going to share my story and tell my story. I want you to think in your mind, what is one thing that you feel like you do better than anyone else, better than your average bear? Is it your photography? Is it your writing? Is it your ability to connect with your audience? Is it your crafts? Is it your home decor? Is it your humor? Is it your knowledge? What is one thing that you have? And what's very interesting is, so I have a private coaching group who many of them are on here and I absolutely love them. And they are like my heart, like my girls. And we are actually opening it up in January if anybody is interested. But one thing on there was so I'm looking at all their faces and I said this to them, and I will say the same thing to y'all. You don't even recognize how amazing you are. And I looked at their faces and I said, I can tell you what your amazing is. I can tell you what you're amazing. I can tell you what you're amazing. And one of my sweet friends actually messaged me after and said, what is my thing? And I'm like, oh, that's easy. Here is your thing. And I think she's incredible at making crafts and photographing them and coming up with creative ideas. And my suggestion to her was to work freelancing with magazines. So the thing is, once you discover what your it is and what you do better than anyone else, that's our roadmap to success. And that is our roadmap to monetization. And I heard someone say this, and I have repeated it over and over and over again, that the key to growing a brand and growing an audience is pouring into your existing customers that you already have. And by customers, I'm talking about people that read your blog, people that follow you on Instagram, people that follow you on Facebook. We are so busy, y'all, trying to get those green check marks. We are so busy trying to grow our numbers. We are so busy trying to do all that. And we are overlooking the people that are right in front of us. And someone told me this: give me 1,000 loyal readers and you can rule the world. And it's the truth, because it's like the people today here in my mastermind, that they have showed up and they're here for me and they are showing up and they are celebrating and they are they're incredible. And I'm about to start crying, y'all. They lift me up and they encourage me and they are incredible. And I don't worry about going out and getting new people for the mastermind group because I'm so busy trying to pour into the people that are in my mastermind group. So all of that being said, as I tell you my story, I want you guys to think through what is your it, what you do better than anyone else. So, okay, so let's, oh, Cindy, thank you so much. Okay, so everyone's like, how did you get started in blogging? So we used to live in Dallas, Texas, actually. I used to live a long time ago when I was growing up in the house, in this exact room. This is my dad's desk that I'm sitting at right here. And we, probably I think it was about 15 years ago now, we took our 4 kids and we jumped to the middle of rural Kentucky. So we jumped from the Dallas Metroplex, where there are restaurants, there are movie theaters, there are places where you can drive through and they hand a drink out the window to you, a Coke or a Diet Coke out the window to you. And we jumped to the middle of rural Kentucky. And it was, to be completely honest, y'all, it was very overwhelming. It was hard to go from family and friends and so much of the busy to a rural place where I was in the country and I was isolated. And so I was lonely. Well, what do you do when you're lonely? You think to yourself, okay, I need friends. And where is the best place to find friends? Online. And so I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to start a blog because there are all these people and they're home decor bloggers and they love all the things that I do. And I'm going to start a blog and connect with people online. So, really, Thistlewood Farms started because out of a need to connect with people. And I was lonely and I thought, this sounds like fun. I'm going to do it. So, I knew when I had watched these other people's blogs that they had these beautiful photographs of their house. And my house, my photographs, y'all, I mean, this is like old school, but I had a camera. My cameras were like those yellow cameras that you buy that like you push the thing over and it would click, 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 like from picture to picture. And then when it was done, you take it to Walgreens and they develop it for you. Then you throw the camera away. That was the extent of my photography. So I was like, okay, so as my Christmas present, I said to my husband, could I hire a photographer to come to the house and take pictures? So I hired a photographer and he came to the house. And like, I remember when he sent me those pictures in the folder, and they were the most beautiful pictures I had ever seen. I was like, let's go, world. Like, this is going to be one of the most amazing things that there ever was, because when people see these pictures, like, let's go. And so on December 9th, 2011. Can y'all believe that? December 9th. So I'm coming up actually on my, is that 9 years? 10? No, not. Anyway, yeah, 10 years. No, yeah, 10 years. 10 years, y'all. 10 years. This night, December 9th. Okay, so December 9th, I will have been blogging 10 years, but December 9th, 2011, I sat down in front of my computer and I pulled up the pictures and I was going to write because I was not um I didn't really know myself as well. And I didn't know what in my mind I was going to write this fancy, amazing decorating blog where, you said things like how to display your Christmas trees with gray and white, or how to add vintage decor to your home, or how to decorate with pine cones for all the seasons. Like, it was going to be this beautifully, brilliantly written home decor blog. And I pulled up the pictures and I put them on my website, on my blog, for my very first post, which was going to be how to decorate with gray and white in your living room. And there the beautiful pictures were. And as I wrote my post, I pulled up one of the pictures and realized, y'all, I did not have a tree skirt on my Christmas tree in my living room. Instead, I had these giant plastic feet, and it was a wide angle lens. So the giant plastic feet from the tree were like, whoa, like, and it was as if that was all I could see, were these plastic feet. And I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? These are the only pictures I have, and I can't afford to have the photographer come back out and retake them. And so, you know what? I did what I could do, which was go with what I had. Hi, my name is Carianne. Nice to meet you. I am so excited to be writing a decorating blog, but you know what, y'all? Sometimes I forget a tree skirt. And something amazing happened in that moment, because guess what, y'all? The world is full of people that forget their tree skirt. There are all these people, and people like respond. It was my very first post. And all these people, they came out of the woodwork. They're like, I forget my tree skirt too. I do this. I forget what I forget, and I leave my pumpkins outside, or I do. And it was a very good thing that I kind of went with that whole situation, because when I went to the dining room, the next post I was putting, I was in the dining room with all the photographers' pictures, and there on my hutch in my dining room there was the whole nativity and the white pumpkins that I had forgotten, and I left up there from I left them up there from Thanksgiving and Halloween, and so there was nativity next to the pumpkin. So it was a good thing that I went with that. But So I inadvertently discovered my voice. And my voice truly is, here is, if I summed up my blog in one word, in a couple of sentences, it would be, I love home decor. I love decorating. And I wake up every day and I try really hard to make my home as beautiful as it can be. But sometimes I mess up. Sometimes I make a mistake. Sometimes I spill blue paint all over my living room floor when I'm trying to paint the bookcases. Sometimes I, um, drag a table across the room and create giant grooves in the floor where I scratched it. Like, I am the person that wakes up every day and tries really hard, sometimes successfully, sometimes not successfully, to create a home that I love. And along the way, you know what happened? All of these people showed up because they were trying very hard to create their homes to be beautiful too. And they mess up along the way too. And it was that being able to resonate with my audience, that is my it. And so in this world, even here we are going on 10 years later, I do not take myself seriously, and I don't take my decorating seriously. And to a certain extent, I even don't take blogging seriously. Now, I say that with an asterisk. Is this my business? Is this my job? 100%. Do I always try to learn new things? Do I study? Do I try to keep up on everything? Yes, but at the end of the day, if I didn't make a single dime off this, if I didn't, if like they said there's no more Instagram, there's no more Pinterest, there's no more brands, you cannot make any money. At the end of the day, it would be me and my audience that is full of people who don't have tree skirts. And that to me is enough. And what fills me with joy is the fact that I have this audience, that I do connect to them, and I try very, very hard to never lose sight of that in the middle of trying to sell them things on What I Bought Wednesday, and like this week I had a couple of sponsored posts, but in the middle of all of that, I put a story. And why did I put a story? I put a story because I was feeling a little bit disconnected from my audience. Um, so you see how the blog got started. I from the very beginning of my brand, um I really didn't look at it as a business, to be completely transparent with y'all. I just wrote what I wanted to write. And I put, like, I mean, y'all have heard me say this before. I remember I had a whole post about my toes. I put my toes on there, and like how I have extraordinarily long toes and how they can pick things up. And I called it Ripley's Believe It or Not toes. And like, super amazing, incredible. You're like, how did this girl ever grow her blog? And then I went to Haven, which is a blogging conference, which so many of us went to last year, which was amazing. And there were women there, and those women were, they were growing their businesses and they were growing their blogs. And I was like, I didn't even know this is a thing. I didn't even know that you could grow your brand or I didn't even know about making a blog a business. Like, I was earning zero money. I didn't have ads. I didn't have anything like that. I was making zero money. And I came home and I figured out, you know what? I think I've got something here. And I applied myself and used marketing and business principles and grew the blog to what it is today. And today the blog has, between all the social channels and the blog itself, it has over 1 million followers. So now, one thing very important that happened at Haven that really helped shape my journey and helped shape my brand is we were sitting outside at a restaurant with some friends, and I told them a story I called it the pancake story. We were just sharing funny stories. And if some of y'all have met me in real life, and um, you have to ask, when making blogs, can you add music to videos? Um, okay, Tony, I don't really understand that question. I'm super sorry, but you're saying add music to your YouTube videos? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying add music to videos on the blog? I will answer that question with a very generic, like, you really want to be very careful with music in any form, because now on YouTube, there's an entire library that has copyright and royalty free music, that if I was going to put something on my blog, you just want to make sure that you would do that. So okay, so back to my story. We were sitting there and I was sharing this story about pancakes and making them for my husband with our first date and all of that stuff. And then my friend turned to me and she said, "Why are you not sharing stories on your blog?" And I said, "I can't share stories. I'm a home decor blog. I'm a DIY blog." And she said to me, "Oh, no, no, Carianne, I think that the world needs to hear your stories." And so when I came back after Haven, the very first story that I ever put on the blog, it's called Love and Blueberry Pancakes. And the response to the story was overwhelming. And so, as part of growing my brand, I started sharing more stories. And I did this for two reasons. Number one, I knew eventually I wanted to write a book, which I did. And I wanted to have stories on my blog. So when a publisher came to me, I could say to them, "Here's my writing style. Here's how the audience responds to my stories." I did that. And the second thing is, I wanted to tell stories to really start developing a relationship with my audience even more, because so I'm telling stories about my life. I told stories about my first date. I told stories about my first kiss. I told stories about when my husband went overseas to the Navy. I told stories about a fight that we had. I told stories about my kids growing up, and through all of those stories, people came to know my brand and my blog. And then one day I had the brilliant idea of taking those stories and turning them and monetizing them with a brand. So I'm going to tell you a little, give you an example of this. This is probably one of my favorite ones. So back in the day, I got reached out to, this is, I mean, this is circa like 2012, I think. And I should have gotten the blog post and put it on here, but it was Clorox brand reached out to me. Lysol disinfecting wipes. That's what it was. Lysol disinfecting wipes reached out to me and they said, "Hey, will you promote Lysol disinfecting wipes on your blog?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm really a home decor. How could I fit this into my brand with my stories?" And so I told the story of my son who was facing a bully at school, and it was this terrible mean bully, and the bully, I mean, every day he'd come home with these like super exaggerated stories, and the bully was stealing his lunch and like stealing quarters from everyone on the um, playground. And I was so worried, like, what am I going to do? Should I call the principal because my son is being terrorized by this bully? And then one day he came home and he said he didn't ever talk about the bully anymore. And I thought, well, that's kind of random. Like, and so I wait a couple of days and I say, "Hey, Zach," I said, "whatever happened with that bully?" And Zach said, "Oh, Mom, like the bully, please." I mean, he came up to me on the playground and I was so scared of him. And then I thought to myself, enough is enough. And I turned into a T-Rex and I took him down, Mom. And he doesn't bother anybody anymore. And then I cut to a picture of the Clorox wipes sitting on the counter. And I said, "Meet my T-Rex. The Clorox wipes will handle, don't let the flu or germs bully you. Let the Clorox disinfecting wipes take care. Meet my T-Rex." And there were like these beautiful photographs of like the Clorox disinfecting wipes on the counter. And the brand went crazy. They were like, "Oh my gosh, we've never seen anyone incorporate a story like this when you are trying to sell a product." And so that kind of became my hallmark. So for example, I'll just give you a perfect example. This past week, today, we'll use a perfect example. Today, I am promoting a brand, and I used a story about growing up. I used a story about my mom's cranberry bread. I used a recipe that has been handed down from generation to generation in my family. And I use it to promote a brand and a service just today on the blog. And it kind of became my hallmark and my way to monetize my brand and my blog. And it's been successful ever since. So Okay, so that is a little bit about my story and how I've kind of set myself apart. So, I'm just curious. Before we get into how to develop y'all's brand, can you tell me about your like what you think your it is? I would love to know what y'all are really good at. So tell me, what do you see as your strength now that you've been thinking about it while I've been talking? I'm very curious to see what you feel your crafts. Renee, 100%. Now, also on video, Renee, you're great on video too. Anyone else? Kim says storytelling and craft. I agree 100%. Carrie says home styling and roundups. Home styling for sure, Carrie. And also, I think really curating things is a strength of yours too, curating collections of yours. Um, you have no idea. Crystal, it's your photography and your art and your beautiful, your gardening. You're a fashion blogger, and it's the way you explain the clothing items. Let's go. Cindy says using recycled items for home decor. Kim says home styling, shortcuts to help myself. Let's go. Hospitality, your vintage collection, or also too, Emily, the way that you style vintage too. And Liberty, we've already discussed. You are amazing at crafts and putting them together and coming up with unique crafts. Your recipes, small house living, home decor, your authenticity. Amy, I agree 100%. 1 hour projects. Okay, so I love that you guys know what you are good at and finding many ways to wear the same thing. That is, Jody, I need to follow you because I need to know ways to wear the same thing. Can you either put your handle here or put your so I can make sure I'm following you because I love um I love knowing how to wear different things. Your Renos, that's true. Um you don't I think your brand may be muddy. All right, well maybe Valerie today some of the things that we talk about will be helpful. Okay, so I maybe you guys have a pen and paper, you can take a little bit of notes on this because this is kind of an exercise. Okay, so the first thing before we can figure out kind of what we what how to connect with our reader, I want you to imagine in your mind your ideal reader, like the person that you feel like you would connect with best. Okay. So ask yourself a couple of questions like, what does your reader like? What do they respond to? And if you were sitting across from them at a table, so let's say you're sitting across from them at a table, what would you talk about with them? And I want you to imagine that reader in your mind. And the reason why it's so important, so I know my exact reader. I can, like, whenever I go and do public speaking or anything like that, I'm always like best friends with my reader. So I can tell you a few things about my reader. My reader loves affordable stuff. They don't. So what does that tell me about working with brands? I'm probably not a fit for higher end brands like maybe Neiman Marcus is probably not my wheelhouse. They love anything affordable. They love anything where I am taking something and transforming it. They are between the ages of 35 to like about 65, somewhere in there. They usually have a family. They are usually have gone to college. Not that they need to go to college, but I'm just telling you the readers that a lot of my readers, because when I talk about going to college, they'll mention like, oh, I went to so and so school, so that's how I know that. They love hearing stories. They are very kind and sweet and wonderful. And so I want you to think about that ideal reader. I want you to kind of write out like maybe the age range, maybe their education level, maybe things that they like, things that you would talk to them about over coffee. And the next time you write your blog post, I want you to picture that reader sitting across from you and you are talking to them. I want you to picture that because all of a sudden, when you do that, it helps determine and focus. So, like, I know, for example, if my readers like affordable finds, and they will let you know, like your readers let you know in the comments. So, pay attention to the comments, pay attention to what they're asking for. One of my most popular posts that I ever wrote was because a reader shared a tip in one of my comments, and I took the tip and I made it into a blog post. And that, to this day, it was all about the hidden zipper that was in the back of when you stuff a couch cushion. And that I wish I knew that reader's name and remembered, because she basically changed my life because I wrote that post and it went viral. And so pay attention to what your readers, a lot of times they are very helpful. They will tell you things in the comments. And so always pay attention to that. Also, when you think of what one thing, so all of the things that we talked about, whether it was, a touch of style, uh, J touch of style, J touch of style. Okay, I'm going to follow you right after this. So if whatever your it is, so we shared, some people are all about repurposing, some people are about their videos, some people are about styling, some people are about this. The next question you need to ask yourself is your reader responding to that? So here you have this ideal reader, or the reader that is on your blog. Are they responding to that? And that's a very important question, because sometimes they're not. And that's where you have a disconnect. So let's say that you're attracting readers that you are not really that into fashion. And let's say you start doing fashion and they're not that into it and they don't respond to it. You're going to have a disconnect with your readers. So just make sure, whether it's photography, if your readers are all in on photography, or if they don't really care about photography, but they care more about, are your DIYs and crafts super crafty and amazing? Make sure that that reader will connect with whatever your it is. Also, too, you want to make sure, and I cannot preach this enough, as you are going into 2022, be consistent, with a capital CONSISTENT, consistent. I cannot preach this enough. You are making a pact with your readers. Okay. So, for example, Danielle says she doesn't get a lot of interaction on her blog, but on Instagram, many of her followers seem to be grouchy old ladies who freely share. I get it. 100%. I have some of those same ladies. They must go from your Instagram to my Instagram. But so I think that when you are writing a blog or you're doing social media, you are making a pact with your readers, y'all. So picture yourself with like a dry cleaner. And let's say the dry cleaner was open on Mondays from like 10 to noon. And then they closed for 4 days. And then they were open Friday night. And then they were open all day Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. And then they were closed for 2 weeks. Would you go to that dry cleaner? No, you'd be like, what the heck? Like, you can't count on that dry cleaner. So you would not be as likely to show up. If your readers know that you post a certain day at a certain time, they are much more likely to show up. And that holds true across. I am like screaming, y'all. I think I'm just so excited about this. Sorry. I'm like, post consistently. So just make sure that if you are posting on YouTube, you want to make sure you post relatively the same time on the same days. If you're posting on Instagram, try to post the same days at the same time. Be consistent, because, and this is true, I'll give you an example on Instagram. So I usually post early in the morning, unless something comes up. I usually post around 8 o'clock on Instagram. And the same people, my friends and other people that read Instagram, they all read it at 8 o'clock in the morning. And those people show up for you over and over and over and over again. So the other day I had to post something at night, and I posted at night. It was a completely different set of people, and it was not as well received at night because I had trained everyone that I was there in the morning. So on your blog and on your social media, make sure that you show up at the same time and try to have the same day. So if you make a commitment to your readers on your blog that you are posting twice a week, please try to honor that, because the fastest way to grow your brand and grow your business is to be consistent. Also, too, I would suggest that you, yes, it is. Melba's saying this is so helpful. Understanding the simple fact that you are talking to one reader instead of everyone. Game changer. That is so true, y'all. And this is like, I'm just going to give you a tip. People always say to me, well, how do you write your blog post so fast? I am a fast writer. Number one, I'm a fast writer because I don't take it all too seriously. But you know what I do? I picture that reader sitting across from me, and I picture as if I'm talking to her. And my best tip for writing a blog post is to sit down. Now take your fingers and put them on the keyboard and don't stop typing until you have finished your blog post. Here's what most people do when they write a blog post. Let's say you're going to write a blog post about decorating Christmas trees. Okay. So you can't think of how to start it. So you're like, I really like Christmas trees. Oh, no. Eraser. Christmas trees have been in my family for, oh, stupid. Christmas trees are a tradition handed down. Oh, down. No. What you're going to do is picture your reader sitting across from you, and then I want you to just act like you're talking to the reader. So this is what I do. Like sometimes I'll be like, y'all. Like I start with y'all. Like that's my first line. Y'all, you are not going to believe this. Or y'all, I put up my 7th Christmas tree. I'm tired. Or so let's say I was going to write a post about Christmas trees. I'll say, this is how I always try to start with something a little off the wall, kind of like me. So I would say, y'all, sometimes Christmas trees get on my nerves. And people be like, wait, what? Christmas trees get on your nerves? Why? What is that? Something a little off the wall. And then I just keep going from there. I don't go back and think that kind of sounds dumb. I don't overthink it. I say, Christmas trees get on my nerves. Is anyone else here? Does anyone raise your hand if it gets on your nerves too? Do you see how I'm talking now to that reader that's sitting directly across from me? And I'm just typing, and I just keep going until I finish. And then after I finish, however many blog posts you want to write, how many words you want to write, an average blog post is about 750 words. For Google to truly be SEO'd, you need about 1,250 words, but every post does not need to be SEO'd, y'all. I have preached this. Sometimes when I'm writing a story, I'm not going to SEO that story. Sometimes when I'm trying to sell you a specific item, I'm not going to SEO that because it doesn't have enough value to be SEO, and I'm going to waste a lot of time SEOing. There are posts when I know like this is going to go, I'm going to SEO this. So I write, I don't know, maybe 750 words, and then I stop. So I've continued, even if I think this kind of sounds dumb, it's silly, I just keep going. And then I go back to the beginning, and you know what I do? I picture my reader right there, and I read the blog post aloud. And when you read the blog post aloud to yourself, something amazing happens, because blogging is at its very heart meant to be a communication. Blogging is meant for you to connect with that reader. And the easiest way to connect with a reader is to read it out loud, and you'll catch yourself. Sometimes you'll say a sentence in a weird way, and you'll be like, oh, well, nobody would talk like that. And then you'll fix it. And sometimes you'll say something, you're like, oh, that kind of sounds silly. And you'll fix it. And so just read it back through a couple of times. And then when you read it back through, all of a sudden you'll understand what that reader is looking for. It makes it so much easier. And then do not go back and rework that blog post like a tired old sweater. Like press publish, click, send, go, and go on and work on your next blog post. So okay. Also, too, you want to make sure that you find a mentor. Reach out to somebody that you respect. Reach out to someone that you admire. Another thing, too, if you can't find a mentor, find a group of friends that can lift you up. I believe, I preach this all the time in my group, everyone should have a tribe. Friends that you can bounce ideas off of, friends that show up, that support you, friends that, when you maybe have a sponsor post and you're a little worried about it and you talk to your friends, maybe something amazing happens and you want to share. If you can't find a one-on-one mentor, a group or a tribe is your next best option. Also, I would suggest that you find people that are where you want to be. So let's say that you, Emily Baker, I will use you. So let's say that you find somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, I think that this person does vintage really well, and they're doing something clever, and they're writing a vintage book, and they're doing all the things with vintage that you want to do. You should be studying them. You should be getting ideas from them. You should see how they are working with brands because they're a little bit farther along on the journey. So find a brand or a blog that you could study to kind of update yourself and see their path. Not saying that you have to necessarily take their same path, you are your own individual, but if you see where they are going, then it helps maybe map out your steps on the journey. Also, and this I cannot preach enough, if you are trying to develop your own brand, write the type of blog that you want to read. Okay. It's so important. Like, and I'll use myself as a perfect example. So y'all know I went on the whole weight loss journey and it was amazing. And I'm still so happy. And so, especially at Christmas time, I got all these cute dresses I'm wearing. And all of a sudden, I became enamored of fashion. So, and I also became enamored of people that put themselves on the blog, like that they had, so never before. And this is fully transparent. Y'all, I was never on my blog before. Now you're probably like, get a hook and get her off of the blog. She's on there way too much. But before, I never put myself on the blog because I was insecure and I felt like, I don't know, I just felt heavy and yucky. And I was like, I don't want to be on the blog. And now I want to, every day I want to be on the blog. I want to be on Instagram because I have all these outfits. I want to share all of that. And so I kind of changed the blog that I like to read, but I was very respectful of my readers along the way. And I kind of brought them along with me on the journey. So I don't post a ton of fashion, but when I do post fashion, it's very affordable. And I'm trying to look for clever ideas to put outfits together, which is why I was so interested in I think our good friend Jody, because it's hard to put a good outfit together. You know, people, there's a lot of the sameness going on. And I like kind of interesting pattern mixes. And so write the type of blog that you want to read and ask yourself these three questions. What do you look for in other blogs? Like when you go to a blog, what do you love? You're like, oh, that blog does this so well. And not saying that you have to copy them, but let's say you go to someone and you like the way that they're explaining their step by step, or you like that they are telling you a story, or you like the way they connect with their readers, or you like the way they ask a question. Also, too, look for things that you don't like with blogs. Okay, so think of blogs that you really admire and like, and think what they're doing right and think what they're doing wrong. Okay, the second thing is what makes you happy. Like when you go to a blog and they do something, what makes you happy with their blog? Like if you go back to their blog, why are you going back? Think through that process. Like, why would you think, why would you, what draws you to that person? Is it the way they write? Is it their pictures? Is it, and look for those and try to not necessarily mimic exactly what they're doing, but use that as a springboard to grow your own brand. And the third thing is, how do they put their personality into the blog? Can you tell what their personality is by going to their blog? Because y'all, and I tell you two things I want to, before we go into monetization, two things I briefly want to address. Right now in 2022, the marketplace with influencers like ourselves is dividing into two sections, okay? And you can't be in the middle. You have to either pick one or the other because the middle is kind of gone. So the two sections are, you have this one type of blog over here that do SEO, which Tony was asking, SEO is search engine optimization. It's a way that your blog shows up in the search engines. And so you have blogs that is all they are doing. They're strictly writing posts for SEO, and they're making good money off of ads and people coming to their blog, and they're growing their platform. And there's nothing, I'm not dismissing that. And if you want to be that type of blog, like, then own that and go for that and spend your time writing SEO and looking at Google Trends and looking at things that are coming up and trying to develop. But that is one, there's no personality to those blogs. There's typically not even a face sometimes. It's just a big blog where there's a lot of how to do this and how to do this and how to do this. And that type of blog is growing and growing because as search engine optimization grows, that type of blog grows. The other type of blog on this side are personality driven blogs, almost like little mini reality shows. And that is So people follow people because they like their personality. And that was kind of the blogs I was just talking to you about. I don't really follow a lot of blogs that are on this side with this search engine. Now, when I am Googling something and I look up and they pop up, like the other day I was trying to find an apple pie recipe, and of course, what pops up, it doesn't pop up like Miss Personality on the recipe. It pops up, here's your apple pie, bam, 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 bam. And I went, took the apple pie recipe, made it for Thanksgiving, and then I went away. I don't even know the name of the blog. I don't follow that blog, but I did use the blog and I searched and they came up. This type of blog over here, people are all in on this type of blog. And if you are a micro influencer, this is the easiest type of blog to be. This is a little bit harder over here, but growing your blog and your personality. So you need to be looking, knowing that those are the trends. The middle, where you're kind of like half SEOing and then you kind of half put your personality. I'm not saying that if you're a personality blog, you can't SEO 100%, but then you have these people that are kind of middle of the road, and those blogs, the blog world is dividing. People that are being successful right now are personality driven blogs and SEO driven blogs. The second thing before we get to monetization, and I think this is super important, do not try to be something on the blog that you are not in real life. Okay. It's not authentic. It's not real. So I'll give you an example. If you're not that funny in real, and no judgment, like no judgment. I'm not here to say people should be funny or not funny. Um, I think I'm hilarious, and I'm probably not even that funny. You know what I'm saying? So, but if your personality is not like that outgoing, or don't try to get a new personality on the blog. If you are by nature an outgoing person, don't try to be super serious and super technical on the blog. Like, people can tell, it comes through in your writing and the way that you use those 26 letters of the alphabet and the punctuation. Be authentic to who you are. I'll never forget, there was a blogger that I followed, and she had this super irritating habit, and she would be like, yoo-hoo, like, hey y'all, yoo-hoo. Ugh. And then I met her in real life, and like, she's nothing like that. And then I realized that's why it bugs me, because it wasn't authentic to her. She was she was a lovely person. She was amazing, but she wasn't this trying to be this other personality that she was creating on our blog. Be you. There's only one you in this entire world. So if you are by nature kind of dry, sarcastic wit, let's add a little bit of that on there. Like, if you are by nature super positive, be that on there. If you are by nature a little more serious and very mindful, and you have, like, if you're a dreamer, add that on there. That's why when we go back to that very first question, is there room for another home decor blog? 100%. 100% it is. It is, because we're all taking our own spin. I mean, who knew that a DIY blogger would be writing about pancakes? But it works. So Cindy is saying, is it okay? Yes, Cindy, that's my exact formula. Cindy is asking, is it okay to have one post per week that has good SEO and then a couple of posts that aren't? I write my posts for different reasons. Sometimes I write a post that is SEO. You'll know it. You'll know it when you see it, because it is 1,500 words. I'm asking all the questions. I have detailed steps. I'm asking every last little thing. And then sometimes I just write a post for the sheer joy of it, a story. It's meant to entertain. It's meant to engage my readers. It's meant to increase my loyalty amongst my follower. And I do no index my stories. Yes. Anything that is, I know is not going to, like my thistle keeping on the weekends that I write, that is a no index post. All of the links are follow links, because I'm trying to give Google juice to other people, but the post itself is no index. So, okay. Let's talk, before we get to our very exciting announcement, let's talk through how to use your brand to work with other brands, how to monetize your brand. Okay, so the example that I gave you is, I took my whatever I'm great at, and I monetized it. And that is my approach to brands. So when I am working with a brand, I pitch them, hey, I have these loyal, invested readers, and I am a storyteller, and brands love a good story. That seems to be it was like, at first everybody was very full disclosure, like back in 2012, people were like, oh, I'm not sure about, I mean, they loved the Clorox story, but a lot of brands were like, we need more. They wanted me to be like an infomercial, more selling. And that's just not my personality with on the blog. Now on What About Wednesday, 100%, but with the blog and stories. But now most of my branded content, not all of it, but a lot of it is a story. So let's say, for example, it is photography. Then you would say to the brand, hey, listen, I'm all in on this photography. And you would do beautifully styled photos of their products. That would be a way. If you're, let me look back through what everybody's thing was so I can give some examples. Oh, Michelle says unique craft tutorials that use recycled things. Okay, that's amazing. So if you are doing craft tutorials, maybe you could show, you could reach out to a brand, or let's say a brand reaches out to you and you say, you know what, I'm going to do this entire vignette for you with this incredible craft tutorial that will go viral. And then I'm going to add your product to come alongside. So you do amazing tutorials somehow involving their brand, whether you're styling with it, whether you're doing a room makeover with it, whether you are doing a Christmas display with it. Tony says she does DIY on Instagram stories. Okay, that's amazing. So if that's your shtick, then again, figure out how to incorporate that with a brand and approach the brand and say, you know what, I do DIY. So if the brand is a paint brand, if the brand is a painter's tape brand, sell them on the fact that you do DIY in your stories. In other words, don't go out of your lane. Stay in your lane when working with a brand. Okay, number 2, affiliates. Oh wait, did I say affiliate? Oh wait, hold on. Oh, affiliates. Okay, y'all, I have preached this and I will continue to preach it just recently, 2021, at the very end of 2021, LTK, otherwise known as Reward Style, just got a $200 million investment. LTK, let me just repeat that. $200 million investment. What is that telling us as influencers? A company, it saw enough in the marketplace and enough coming up in 2022 and 2023 and 2024 and beyond that they were willing to take 200 million of their hard-earned dollars and invest in a company that basically facilitates affiliates. What does that tell us? We need in 2022 to up our affiliate game. So what happens is when you grow your personal brand and you grow your personal blog, you now have a thing we call influence. You can take that influence and influence your readers to buy a particular product. You don't even need to, eventually it's probably going to get to the point where we're going to be making so much money off affiliates that brand partnerships are going to be not a large part of our portfolio, because we're going to be making so much money off of promoting what we love. And the key word there is what we love. These are your readers. They have an investment in you. Honor that investment and share with them things that you truly love, that you truly use in your home, and your affiliate sales would be so much better. And also kind of stay in your lane with affiliates. It's again back to what I talked to. What's my ideal reader? Oh, they like affordable. So if all of a sudden I started getting on there and promoting like I was just approached by this incredible high-end brand, and I was like, oh, I went over there and looked, but I was like, y'all, a set of pillows was like $250. Like, I can't in good conscience share that with my readers, because they're not going to buy 250 pillows $250 pillows after I've just been selling him $12 pillows. Like, it's not going to work. So also use your readers to increase your readership. So it's very important to tell your readers what you need from them. I can't stress this enough. Y'all, the people that read our blog, we think that they understand everything. We think that they understand how blogs work and how people make money, and that if they purchase something on Instagram, then you get credit. And they have a vague idea of what is going on in our world. But for the most part, they have no idea. They don't understand. Their little mom's going to soccer practice or picking someone up, or somebody's making a pumpkin pie, and they just read your blog. They know that they like you. So teach them how to help you. Say to them, I say this on my YouTube channel every time. Hey, can y'all share this YouTube with your friends? I'm really trying, and be transparent. I'm really trying to grow my YouTube. Can you share this YouTube? Oh, and by the way, thank you for buying the things on my channel. It helps me grow my business. Every time you buy something, I get a very small percentage of that. And I am very grateful to you for helping me grow my business. Tell your readers what you want. Ask them, say, hey, if you guys really like this post, share it with your friends. If you guys on Facebook, tell them, share it with your friends on Instagram. Hey, if anybody really likes this, let someone else know about my channel. Like, always be thinking and asking those loyal readers for help. They are there for you. They want to help because they feel so grateful for all of the free, amazing content that you have given them, and they want to help, but they're never going to know how to help until you ask them. So Kristen says she's starting over after, oh, so proud of that is my it. Look at me. Oh, I love, of course you can. So Kristen is saying, you go, Kristen. That is amazing. That is amazing. First of all, your story is incredible. Power to you that you have done this, that you have overcome, that you are standing. Like, I see you. I see you standing there strong and powerful. And that message is one that brands love, love, love to hear. So you probably don't need to go into your entire story, but you could just say, I have overcome a lot of challenges and I am all about learning new skills, learning new things. You could even approach a brand and say, you know what, I'd love to do a fun series with you where I am showing how to do something, like with something that you've never done before. So I'll just use an example. Let's say Dremel tools. Like, let's say you approach Dremel and you said, you know what, I want to learn how to fill in the blank. You can do everything with a Dremel. I want to learn how to cut my own molding. I want to learn how to do this cool wood finish. I want to learn how to cut acrylic or something. I don't know, whatever your it is, and say to them, my blog is all about empowering myself and empowering other people through my challenges that I have faced. And I want to bring them along with me on a journey where I've learned how to do something. Just an idea. So also too, back to monetizing very quickly, creating curated collections. And this is a gold. A lot of people now are reaching out to brands and they're using that influence because they say to the brand, look at all my loyal following that I have. If I curate a collection of things that you have, people, because I said that I like it, people will be willing to buy. And then the last thing is to do like a product line with a brand, which is super popular. We've had several people on here that have done paint lines before. They have done, different fabric lines. I personally have done a fabric line. I have personally done a line of products that are in stores right now all over America. So partner with either a wholesaler, partner with a brand to really create a product. Now, this would be after you do a lot of work with them as a brand, but kind of maybe a goal you could have in 2020 is to develop a product line for a brand. So, okay. How many followers do you have before you reach out? Okay, Deanna, I don't think that, followers are definitely important. I would make sure that you had good engagement on all your channels. So I would make sure that you have a lot of comments on your blog, on your Instagram, your stories get a lot of views. On Facebook, you have people. If you can demonstrate to a brand that you have high engagement, that's much more important than your follower count, if that makes sense. It's much more important that because at the end of the day, all they really care about is that you are going to sell their product for them. Yeah, don't wait too long. You don't want to wait too long for sure. So, okay, so we have a super exciting announcement that we want to share with y'all. Are y'all ready? Okay, so you're ready. I love it. Okay, so I really love helping Hometalk run all of their educational programs and webinars, and I love getting to connect each month with you. So Hometalk recently conducted a survey of all the creators. I think a lot of y'all on here participated in that survey, and the responses show that everyone was really all about these webinars. People love these webinars, but they also expressed that they wanted different ways to listen to these webinars. So after brainstorming and meeting with the team and Amanda and Miriam, I am so excited to tell y'all that we are going to have a monthly podcast called Mastering Media. So the podcast is called Mastering Media. It's going to be a podcast, so you can listen to it on all platforms. I know, I'm so excited. So now you can be driving down the car and listening to all of it. And we have so many fun and exciting ideas. We have the whole year planned out based on the response that y'all gave us from that survey that y'all filled out. So we took your answers, took what you were looking for, and we are pouring into this amazing amazing podcast. It's going to focus on growth insights, tactics, success strategies for DIY content creators, and around building your audience and your revenue and your brand. Now, you can still tune in. You'll still be able to watch the webinar live, but the audio will be available in podcast form now across all platforms. So you can listen on the go whenever you want to listen to us. So our first episode, which I already mentioned this in January, is going to be focused on SEO and Google Web Stories. And we have a very special guest, this incredibly high-level, brilliant SEO expert from Hometalk joining us, who's kind of an expert on Google Web Stories. And we are going to do a deep dive in this, and because we want you to start the new year strong with your search optimization effort. So, but I just felt like very passionate about growing your brand and figuring out what your it is and figuring out how to connect with your audience, because SEO, remember we talked about the two different types. The gold really is if you can have this amazingly connected audience and then SEO too, that's true gold. So it's definitely something that we can all shoot for. And I know I'm so excited. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And so because this is our last webinar of the year in December, I just want to close out 2021 with words of encouragement for all of y'all. And I just want you to know that I see you, my friends, listening and trying and showing up every day and producing content that is so amazing and incredible. And I leave you with this truth. You are so much more amazing than you think you are. You think, you know what, maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe I'm an 8. And I'm here to tell you on a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 50. You're 100. You are so amazing that the world needs more of you and more of your stories. You got this. Let's go 2022. I will see you next year in January, and have a day as amazing as you are. Thank y'all.